Hello everyone and welcome to my morning report chart analysis videos with me, Rich Market Analyst at Hantec Markets on Tuesday 13th of March. We've got a fairly sort of consolidation move going on markets early this morning. We've got the US inflation data today, and that I think is sort of affecting markets in the fact that traders are pretty much sitting on their hands, I think, in front of this data. There's a key aspect to the fact that the markets are focusing on inflation. Certainly, ever since that surprise jump in average hourly earnings that we saw in February, and that has sort of taken on more of a focus as the break-evens have sort of moved up above 2% to around about 2.15%. And what we have seen is Treasury yields sort of pulling strongly higher. The 2-year is up at 2.27. The 10-year at 288. So we've seen the markets just consolidating in the last sort of week or so. Yields basically going sideways, not really going anywhere on the 10-year, and that has sort of started to drive a bit of consolidation through these forex majors, which we may well get a little bit of a resolution from today through this CPI number, and that could start to drive yields higher. Certainly if it came out for an upside surprise, you could likely see the 10-year pushing back towards those 2.95 highs, and possibly back towards 3%, which would be interesting. You'd also see a reaction on the dollar as well if you saw a significant upside surprise on inflation. We're not expecting it. The US core CPI is expected to be sorry, a little bit outside there. US core CPI expected to be again around 1.8%. So no surprises there expected, but yeah, the inflation data today is certainly going to drive direction, I think, in these markets. Now, we've also got the UK spring statement from Chancellor Hammond. Now, this is not expected to be anything significant today. It's meant to be more of an update, really, on the fiscal standings of the UK government and the economy, rather than anything significant in terms of policy for the UK government. There's a little bit of pressure politically for the government to sort of loosen the purse strings somewhat. However, I think it's unlikely that they're going to do anything too significant today, and as such, you're not really going to see too much action. And coming at the same time as US inflation, I think you're more likely to see a move on the dollar rather than sterling. But you could still see something. But that's all this afternoon. So my chart of the day is the Aussie dollar. Now, Aussie dollar has been improving in the last week or so, ever since the RBA. In fact, the RBA last week held rates steady and was a little bit cautious, and data was a little bit sort of tepid as well. However, we've seen the Aussie dollar starting to pick up, and you've seen a breaking of that downtrend. And the market also picking up above sort of 77 big figure, which I'll sort of zoom out, and you can see has been a pivot consistently over the past sort of 18 months, really. And having picked up off that, that's a key level, and it's now coming up towards another key pivot, 78.95 area, having been resistance in October, again formed resistance in February, and that a breakout above that would open 80 big figure. So the market on an improving sort of run in the last few days, but look at this MACD line crossover that we've got now, the bull cross on the MACD lines. You've got the acceleration higher on the stochastics. This is all pointing towards an improvement in the outlook, and certainly a move above 78.95 today would open the upside towards 80 big figure, and that reaction high that we saw mid-late Feb. So yeah, we could see a continued improvement in this. Obviously, we've got inflation today for the States. If you see any sort of mild disappointment on inflation, you could start to see Aussie dollar rallying against the US, and that would certainly help to drive that. You do have in the last sort of couple of weeks this uptrend channel as well forming. Now the bottom of that uptrend channel sort of comes in around sort of 78.10 area, but you do have a little near-term pivot, 78.40, old highs became supportive, so that is a basis of support, and then below that you're looking at 77.70, which is the sort of low from last week. But what we are looking at is a continued move to the upside, I think, on this. So little corrections there, I think, a chance to buy in the Aussie dollar. Having broken that move, you've got the bull candles that are beginning to form, and a little uptrend channel in formation. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I will speak to you later.